Okay, Fabian perspectives or expected and accepted. Expected and accepted. I'm just I didn't get to comment on the Mets season, the end of the season yet, but it's just amazing to see all the different reactions and it doesn't feel good to lose ever. Like I never want to act like I want to accept losing in my life. I just feel like the attachment that we have with anything that doesn't have to do with us in this just in this country in general, Instagram, all these things, and I'm always going to make this point. I make it to this point. We live vicariously through other people, so much so that these sports teams depress us instead of managing our expectations, even as fans. You have to be realistic about what we saw. Shout out to B Mad. He was running with the same narrative as everyone else. Oh, we lost because we lost to the Braves. That last series against the Braves, we got swept against Chicago. The bottom line is we don't get swept against Chicago. We don't lose that Braves series if Scherzer is Scherzer. Period. If Marte is healthy. Marte and Scherzer were the biggest offseason acquisitions. Period. We're not in this position right now. You're missing an ace. He was not up to par. If you watched the games and you were being realistic in August, I said it from then, he needs time off. He missed last year's playoff World Series game. He missed a World Series game because he had a dead arm. A dead arm back in the day for me was meant you knock people out. Not that you get knocked out. That's what it meant for me back in the day. But he had a dead arm and he couldn't play in a World Series game. Same guy was starting to show signs that he was missing his spots in August. And again, this is what happens when you're stuck on social media and you're stuck living vicariously through other people and you're living in fantasy world. Watch the game for what it is. This is any sport. In any sport, injuries happen, life happens. I'm upset because we lost, yes, but never in my life have I had hope for Mets culture to keep going up, to keep getting better. These guys get paid on sports radio for the hyperbole. That's what they get paid for. There's nothing really intelligent about what they're doing except they're making the money on it as of right now. And I'm not. You motherfuckers need to sponsor me because I'm the real objective fan. And I don't need to go super Suedo. Hey, this guy let us, Jeff McNeil let us in batting. I don't gotta break down the game for you like that. I break down the feel for what it is. I wanted to go into this series. People were trying to avoid playing the Cardinals, avoid playing the Braves, avoid playing the Yankees in the playoffs. I want to beat every one of those teams. I wanted the Mets to go into the playoffs and beat the Cardinals, beat the Braves, and beat the Yankees. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. But you punks want to live your life in a way where it's like this is the game, and there's always a game of matchups and everything. But everything, what are we scared of? We got the richest owner in baseball. We don't want to be the Angels, right? And we're not on our way to becoming the Angels. If you notice, we still have Epler in there. His job is on the line. Speaking of Epler, he's the third general manager in the last 2 years. We just changed ownership 2 years ago. This is our second head coach, our second manager in the last 2 years. It's the batting, it was good. We scored runs, I get it, but we did not have enough power in the lineup, enough pop to get past the Dodgers. And obviously against the Padres to make up for the Martes of the world, who's a little bit older, by the way, who broke his finger and couldn't do his thing anymore. He couldn't even throw the ball right. But he was a major piece to how we played. We had an old school National League style of play this year. That's what we had. And Marte was a part of that. So when you see him go down and Scherzer go down at the same time, they needed to breathe. I thought Alvarez should have came up. I sound like a broken record in August to give us some life. He could have been the X factor. That's all I wanted to see. Who was going to be the X factor to at least make the other team think? Alvarez disappointed the hell out of me when he struck out looking in Game 1 against the Padres. That was awful. After having a minor league career like that, and then coming in there, I don't know what kind of loophole they had to even bring him into the playoffs. But that would have been talked about forever if he would have been, done something heroic. But you got to forgive him. He's young. He's 20 years old. The thing is, the Braves are healthy. The Braves won the championship last year. The Dodgers, every team is lucky that guy from the Dodgers, what is his name, Burley, whatever his name is, that he beat his girl, whatever it is. Everyone's lucky that's the kind of guy he is, or unlucky. The world is unlucky that he's that kind of guy. And the Dodgers have some misfortune by Burley being out. Right? Because with him there, that changes everything. Nobody's beating them. Nobody would have beat them last year if they had Scherzer and him. Come on, man. We got to be realistic. DeGrom, I want you back. But you ain't getting no $40, $50 million. That's crazy to me. You can't give him $40, $50 million. We clearly overpaid for Scherzer, but you do that when you're trying to build a culture. The Mets were trying to do that with Pedro. I've heard these things before back in the day. And with that, even with that, they remember they put Pedro to start in June. That's when he started playing, in June of that year or July. Bring Scherzer in next July, next August. That's when he should start playing. I don't want you to play in April if it means you don't get to play in October, Scherzer. Bottom line, same thing for DeGrom. We'll run our course from April to June or July. You come in there once a week. Whatever you want to do. Strahan did the same thing in football. He missed the first 4 weeks of a football season, and they won the championship because he was one of the most dominant players at his position, which impacts the game. Pitching, when you're a dominant pitcher, come on now, that says everything. So, all you pansy, chumpa lumpa Met fans that are giving into these chumps because we lost, because you expected to do what? You never had this hope before. Stop being a bunch of punks. We're about to step into a new era. In the gangster geek Steve Cohen, we trust.